Hello everyone, this is Andrew at Crown Academy of English. Today we are doing an English grammar lesson all about non-defining relative clauses. So let's get started. So, non-defining relative clauses give us more information about a noun. Non-defining relative clauses do not define or identify the noun. And non-defining relative clauses are common in written English. Okay? So they are more common in written English. Example. We visited Hyde Park, which is close to Buckingham Palace. So this is the non-defining relative clause. So it's after the comma, and it is which is close to Buckingham Palace. And so the non-defining relative clause gives us more information about Hyde Park. So this is the noun, Hyde Park. It is a famous park in London. And so the non-defining relative clause simply gives us more information about the park, about the noun. So it's like a commentary, an extra commentary about the noun. And it is not necessary to define or identify Hyde Park, because there is only one Hyde Park in London. Okay, so this is why this is the big difference with defining relative clauses. Okay, so we are not identifying Hyde Park because there's only one of them. We are simply giving more information about the park. And as always, we link the relative clause to the noun with a relative pronoun. So in this example, the relative pronoun is which, the word which. And this links the relative clause here to the noun here. Okay? Now, a very important punctuation rule for non-defining relative clauses. So we use commas when writing non-defining relative clauses. This is very important. Example. So we visited Hyde Park, which is close to Buckingham Palace. And this is the comma. So it is a little line at the bottom of the line after the word. So the comma separates the non-defining relative clause from the rest of the sentence. Okay, so it's like a separator. And here the non-defining relative clause is at the end of the sentence, and there is one comma in the middle. And this example, the relative clause is in the middle of the sentence, and so we need two commas to separate it from the sentence. We have a comma here and a comma here. Hyde Park, which is close to Buckingham Palace, is closed today. So this is the non-defining relative clause. Comma here and a comma here, and everything outside the commas, that is just the main sentence. Hyde Park is closed today. And the extra information is that it is close to Buckingham Palace. And that is obviously the comma here and here. And remember that commas, they actually represent a pause. So when we actually say this sentence, we pause when there is a comma, and the intonation changes slightly. So if you listen, Hyde Park, which is close to Buckingham Palace, is closed today. Okay? Very important. We always use commas with non-defining relative clauses. Relative pronouns. Let's look at some examples. Who. We use it for people, and it can be a subject or an object pronoun. Example: Mr. Smith, who works with me, has invited me to a party. And here, the word who is the relative pronoun, and it is acting as a subject pronoun. Who works with me? And this is the relative clause, the non-defining relative clause, with a comma here and a comma here. Mr. Smith, who I like, has invited me to a party. And here, who is acting as an object pronoun, who I like. Whom. Again, this is for people, and it is only an object pronoun. Mr. Smith, whom I like, has invited me to a party. So this can only be an object pronoun. So whom I like. This is the relative clause. But remember that whom is only really used in very formal English. It is not very common in modern English. And it is in fact more common to use who as the object pronoun for people. Like this example. It is more common to do it like this. And important, who and whom are never replaced by that. Okay, so that's important. And we'll discuss that in a few minutes. Which. This is for things or animals. And it can be a subject or an object pronoun. Example: he gave me a cake which was on a white plate. Which was on a white plate. So this is the non-defining relative clause here. And we have the comma here. And we have the word which is acting as a subject pronoun. Because it's giving us more information about the subject. Okay? He gave me a cake which I ate immediately. And this time we have the same word which, but this time it is acting as an object, which I ate. So in fact, I ate a cake, which is representing the word cake. So I ate the cake is it's an object. And again, which is never replaced by that. Okay? So, let's now discuss that. For non-defining relative clauses, we never use that. Okay? We never use that in non-defining relative clauses. Examples. So, this is correct for a person we use who. Mr. Smith, who works with me, has invited me to a party. So that is fine, but we do not replace it with that in non-defining relative clauses. So this is wrong. Another example. Mr. Smith, whom I like, has invited me to a party. So this is correct in formal English, as we have already seen. But this is wrong. We do not replace whom with that. Okay, we cannot use that. So this is wrong. He gave me the cake, which I ate immediately. He gave me the cake that I ate immediately. So this is correct. That is fine because we are using the word which. But this is wrong because we never use that in non-defining relative clauses. And we only use that in defining relative clauses. And I explain defining relative clauses in a different video. Whose. This is for people or things. And it is a possessive. It describes possession of something. Mark, whose brother works with me, wants to buy my house. So this is the non-defining relative clause. And this is the relative pronoun, whose. So what does this mean? Well, the whole sentence means, well, there are two things. First of all, Mark wants to buy my house. Okay, so it is Mark who wants to buy my house. And Mark's brother works with me. Okay, so it is the brother of Mark works with me. Okay, so that's the meaning. So it is quite a useful structure because we can say two things in one sentence. So one whole sentence using the non-defining relative clause and the main clause, we can say two different things. So it's quite a powerful structure. The relative pronoun of a non-defining clause can never be omitted. Okay, so it means that the relative pronoun of a non-defining clause, it's compulsory. We must write it. We must use it. Example. I gave him a bottle of water, which he drank very quickly. So this is fine. This is correct because we have the relative pronoun here. We are using it. But this is wrong because here we have omitted the relative pronoun. We are not using it, and that is wrong. We cannot say this. So this is an important rule. The relative pronoun is only omitted from a defining relative clause, and only when it is the object of the clause. Example of a defining relative clause. She is drinking the coffee that you made. that is correct. And here we have omitted the relative pronoun that. She is drinking the coffee you made. And that is correct when we are using a defining relative clause. And again, this is in a separate video, and I'll give you the link to the video in a couple of minutes. There is a very special use of which. Remember, normally we use which to give more information about a specific thing, about a noun. Example: he gave me a cake which was on a white plate. Okay, we have already seen this. So here, the relative pronoun which is referring to one word. It is referring to the noun, cake. Just one word, cake. But the special use is we can also use which to give more information about a clause. For example, he forgot to give me the cake, which was very annoying. Okay, so we have a first part of the sentence, or a clause. He forgot to give me the cake, which was very annoying. So here, this is the non-defining relative clause, but the word which, the relative pronoun which, is referring to all of the clause. It's referring to the situation. So the cake is not annoying. It is the fact that he forgot to give me the cake. The situation was very annoying. The whole clause, all of this was very annoying. Okay, so this is a very special case where which refers to a clause, not just a noun. And a second example: Mark passed his driving test, which is fantastic. Okay, again, which is referring to the whole clause. The test isn't fantastic. It is the whole situation, the fact that Mark passed his driving test. This situation, this clause, the meaning of this is fantastic. Okay? And don't forget the commas. So again, we always have a comma to separate the non-defining relative clause from the rest of the sentence. And here is the comma here. So very important, don't forget the commas. Okay, so there we are. We've finished the lesson. Hope you enjoyed it. Here are some other videos which you might be interested in. So simply click on the screen to start the video. There we are. My name is Andrew from Crown Academy of English. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you very soon. Bye-bye.